What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's LukeTheDuke, and I just got done watching the approximately hour-long Division 2 live stream. There is a ton of new information to go over here. We've got information ranging from NinjaBike. We got a Season 11 trailer. There's a lot of things going on in here, and I'm going to be going through this all as I took notes as both Morton and Daria were processing it and handing it out over on stream. So, yeah, in case you like what you see, make sure and smash that sub button, ring the notifications bell to stay up to date on all my latest uploads, and if you could also rate and comment the video, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, let's dive right in. So, right out of the gate, Morton addressed the stability issues with the live game. You know, I've commented on this many times here on the channel. He did say that they are adding on additional programmers at the UB Bucharest studio to try to assist with the engine, with stability issues, to try to handle these crashes that we're constantly seeing. And I did want to quote him here. He said, quote, "We know about it and we are going to do something about it." I am really looking forward to this. Next up was the long-awaited specialization revamp, and I'm sorry to tell you there's no more news on it than we knew before this stream. They're not going to move into details for Year 5. By the way, they didn't touch on anything really for Year 5 in the stream, and apparently specialization revamp may be a part of that Year 5, but there's no information to share. Once Season 11 is over, by the way, Season 11 starts tomorrow, they're going to try to update the roadmap. Maybe we'll hear something about specialization revamp. I honestly don't know. Next was a very brief update on the Division 2, which is, of course, for sale on Steam, but was having issues running on Steam Deck. Well, apparently now it runs perfect on Steam Deck. According to their statement, it's still waiting for official certification from Steam, but it will absolutely work. Division 1 as well, so that's good news for anyone that wants to play Div 1 or Div 2 on the go. Apparently now your Steam Deck will work just fine. Next, the conversation turned to the compensation caches, and they know there are issues with this. They're working with Massive's online team, so this is apparently not UB Bucharest, this is Massive's online team. Morton did state they're probably going to extend the time frame to get those caches. Remember, I've spoken about that. Today was apparently the last day you could log into the game, go to the boo, or at least it was for me on PC, go to the boo, open up your stash, pull this compensation cache out, which was chocked full of resources, and put it into your player inventory. It sounds like they're still having ongoing issues. They know they've got a lot of UB support tickets open with this, and it also, just from the tone of their voice, sounds like it's still going to be an ongoing issue. So I would continue to log in, see if you can grab it, and just try that on a daily basis. But from every indication they're giving, they're going to extend the time frame to get those caches. There was also a brief discussion on global difficulty and directives as it associated with like classified missions and raids. And there was a known issue, and Morton did speak to it, that when you set your world tier to lower difficulties, it didn't feel like it was scaling down. So like I normally play on heroic, but even when I go down onto normal difficulty just to goof around, the NPCs still shred my min-max builds, which are perfectly capable of handling heroic and legendary difficulties. And apparently there was a known issue with this, especially like if you went over to the classified missions, which are on normal difficulty, and the issue was that they were actually scaled to your world tier difficulty. So whereas you were, I guess, apparently playing the mission on normal difficulty, it was actually scaled up to hard. And the second part of this is they are considering, it isn't in the game yet, but they are considering adding directives to raids to add on optional difficulty. So there's some info for you on that one. A large portion of this live stream was dedicated to the PTS results. Remember, we've spoken about this in the past. This was a very sniper-heavy and PvP-heavy PTS. There was a lot of changes they tried to implement. They were kind of pushed back on. But here we finally get our first update as to what's going on with those. So this is the PTS results, which are apparently going to be installed into the game. These are quality of life. Listen to this first one. This has to do with the skill jammer. Skill Jammer functional on +3 skill tiers. So it's still going to be able to jam +3 from your current skill tier. So they give an example. If you're skill tier 0 and you're running a Skill Jammer, you can jam up to somebody that's running up to 3 skill tiers. So it will no longer work if you're running around with a 0 skill tier and you hit your skill jammer. It's going to jam somebody with 6 skill tiers. It will only scale up 3. The next thing is no changes to the EMP sticky. You can still have 0 skill tier on it, and you're still going to be able to use it. Apparently it requires a little bit more skill, so that's why they're going to let everyone use it, even with 0 skill tier. They also stated that the shrapnel trap will correctly scale and work in PvP. They said, finally. And then they also addressed adding exotics, the Ravenous, the Bighorn, and the Eagle Bear, to the Dark Zone. They spent a fair amount of time on this one. This change is not pointed at raid players, they stated. They're trying to give players an opportunity to gain them in the Dark Zone. By the way, they did speak on the drop chances, and I'll touch on that in a moment. They said the drop chances are lower than other exotics in the Dark Zone. So these 3, the Ravenous, the Bighorn, and the EB, will have lower exotic drop chances than other exotics in the Dark Zone. And by the way, here's a huge change in the Dark Zone. Listen to this. Everything will now drop as contaminated loot. Okay? So any of those exotics will drop. They're contaminated. They're going to go into your fanny pack. You've got to extract them. All right? They also stated that they're no longer going to have non-contaminated loot dropping in the Dark Zone. So now all loot will require extraction. So anything that drops on the ground and you pick it up, it's going to go into your fanny pack. You're going to have to fire off the flare. Like I said, ring the dinner bell for anyone wanting to come cut your line and take your loot, and it's going to require you to extract everything. By the way, check out your screens right now. I saved this from a long time ago. This was what I guess the Division 2 had kind of posted previously as far as their exotic drop chances. Daria did kind of hint. She said that the drop chances for the Ravenous, Bighorn, and EB and the Dark Zone was close to that of exotics dropping in heroic difficulty in the open world. Well, if you look at the chart, heroic difficulty open world, it says 0.024% chance for exotics to drop in the open world. So yeah. So it's probably, I'd say, a third that of what you would normally see for the Dark Zone. By the way, the Dark Zone is currently, remember, only in a challenging difficulty. For that one, as you can see from the chart, it's 0.072% for the other exotics to drop there. So you've got a third a good odds. I mean, I'm just kind of stumbling through words here, but you can see your chances of getting this to drop are quite low compared to even other exotics, which are quite low on top of that. So yeah. All right, final thing they did talk about with the PTS. Remember, there was problems, and I pointed this out in my PTS videos with the Sacrum Imperium. Remember, the talent only worked marking targets if you were scoped in and you couldn't scope in. Yeah, so they're going to, later in Season 11, add on the C79 scope for the option to scope in and out. So that's going to give you that option to scope in, be able to mark the targets, or kind of just fire it off the shoulder ADSing, and I guess not proc the targets. Anyway, they did state that. Also, they did mention that from the PTS, they still don't have any conflict XP changes. They're not ready, so don't expect any of those. Final thing is from PTS, and they kind of flashed this up onto the screen, they changed up the lighting on the masks, which is going to be coming in Season 11 to try to create shadows through the eye holes so they look more realistic. Next up, I'm going to dive right into this. This was their official Season 11 trailer. This is Reign of Fire. I'm going to play this with the audio, and then I'll come back in and we'll cover all the rest of these notes.
We got used to winning, to defeating our enemies, or turning them to our cause. But now they have their own alliance, led by Sokolova. And if the mastermind of the Black Tusk is coming to Washington, it will be to eliminate the division. That's why she needs Stovepipe. They don't care about the cost. Only who wins.
Okay, so as you can see, it looks like Sokolova and the Black Tusk are going to make a full-on assault for Washington, D.C. We saw a hunter kind of like dragging an agent. There's also a scene where they're bringing in a ton of watches, like shade watches, and they're being linked to a computer system to possibly hack Isaac. I don't know. They also went in to talk about the 4 secondary targets and then the main manhunt target. The main manhunt target is Stovepipe, and the 4 secondary targets are Chunks, Bantam, Cursed, and Auntie. And yeah, this will be the conclusion to year 4. This will be going live tomorrow. Okay, probably one of the most exciting portions of the live stream we're going to be talking about now is the new gear for Season 11. This goes live tomorrow, and of course, everyone wants to know about the NinjaBike messenger bag. I tweeted this out just a few seconds ago. But anyway, first big bit of news for NinjaBike is it will not be the end of the Manhunt reward. It will be available as part of the Season Pass track. So whether... by the way, I think you have to have the Warlords of New York DLC in order to even participate in this seasonal track, but this will be part of the normal seasonal pass track, and you'll also be able to, I guess, purchase the optional one for the optional rewards. By the way, NinjaBike is going to include all 3 cores, just like Memento, and they did state again it will not require waiting until the end of the manhunts like Dr. Home. So if you want to absolutely go crush your normal seasonal reward track tomorrow and get your hands on it, more power to you. Included with this seasonal track will be 12 new weapon skins, 11 new gear dyes, and 2 new face masks in the premium track. They said in the premium track, but then they went on to clarify 1 is in the premium track, 1 I guess is when you finish up the normal reward track. The Sacrum Imperium is in the season pass. So once again, it's not going to be like the Dr. Home. You just earn it as you burn through those 100 levels as part of the season pass. And listen to this. You can now purchase season levels with premium credits. Let me say that again. You can now purchase season levels with premium credits. So if you just want to burn through your season, it sounds like you could just pay. I don't know if it's pay to win. It's pay to play. You could just buy all, I guess, season 100 levels of this and just burn right to the end of the seasonal track. And this is on top of the optional seasonal reward track that you can buy with all the extra materials and the extra skins and the mask, etc. So you can now just like buy your way to the end of the season track. Interesting. They showed off a couple of these new weapon skins, the Busy Day, the Disco Tiger, and the Waffle. I'm not much on weapon skins, but they did. And they did state that all the patch notes are going to release tonight with the announcement of the maintenance incoming tomorrow. So I don't know what time that'll be. Maybe it's night for them, which is I'm 6 hours earlier than them. So maybe I can get my hands on it and do a second Division 2 video, but they're going to post a bunch of the patch notes for Season 11 tonight. And they said it should include further notes for the NinjaBike. So that's going to be really, really interesting. So the final part of this live stream, they went into this informational miscellaneous, dropping all sorts of 411 on the stream zone. It included Dr. Home, apparel events, Descent game mode, ETF, and future plans, which are over on the known issues board. So let's start off with the Dr. Home. First off, they stated they're going to be granting this to all players, and it will happen. It's apparently just delayed. As part of Season 11, the Dr. Home will be placed into the General Exotic loot pool. But here's the big change. This is going to take the Dr. Home from just sitting in your stash to maybe you want to consider, running this in a party. They're going to decrease the value of the weapon armor regen from 15 to 10%. So let me say that again. They're going to decrease the value of the weapon armor regen from 15 to 10%. But here are the changes that make this much more valuable. First off, you're going to mark your targets, and then on kill, the armor is going to be applied. So it isn't like, remember they were dropping trophies kind of like the Memento, you had to run over them and pick them up. So you're going to mark the target, you kill the target, and then the armor will be applied, not just to you, but to your entire party. So let me say that again. 15% down to 10% armor regen. You mark a target, you kill the target, and then the armor is applied to your entire party. Now, it's not going to include overhealing or bonus armor. So it's just going to take somebody that's maybe at 50% armor, pop them back up to whatever it is. Okay, so, but they can't exceed 100%. So that's a big change to the Dr. Home. And of course, they said with Season 11, it will now reward us with exotic components on deconstruction. Second part of Season 11, of course, we're going to get an apparel event. It's not going to be ready tomorrow. Let me say that again. You're going to get an apparel event. By the way, it's called Necessary Tactics, but it's not going to be ready tomorrow. You know, the apparel events always kind of come in a couple weeks later. Anyway, Necessary Tactics is going to include 6 full cosmetic outfits, 3 reward masks. And by the way, they showed off Aces, Gear Up, Let's Go, and Problem Solver, but they aren't live yet. They're going to go live in a few weeks, and the theme for this one is more of a tactical camo theme. They said that they've heard that the community is tired of looking like absolute clowns. They want to look more tactical, so apparently this one's taken on a much more tactical look and feel to it. All right, final bit. Descent game mode. This was supposed to be a part of Season 11, if you remember the original reward track and the original, I guess, roadmap. Of course, it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, but they did state that it will now include a co-op options. That's big breaking news. Remember, Descent was originally supposed to be a solo only. It's a roguelite inspired game mode. It was only going to be for single player. They're now bumping it up to include co-op. I don't know how many players. I don't know if it's 2, if it goes up to a squad of 4. They weren't specific with that, but I guess they've delayed it, so they said let's go back in and add a co-op option. More details will be, I guess, distributed for Descent game mode and their next live stream. By the way, no date given on that. They did state that playtests are currently ongoing with Descent game mode. And another piece of breaking news for this, Year 5 first season PTS. So when Year 5 goes live, that's going to be the next season after Season 11. So we got to make it all the way through Season 11, and then eventually they're going to get to Year 5, whatever they call that, Season 1. Let's call it Season 1. The PTS for that will include the Descent game mode for testing. Okay, and they did state that you basically begin this Descent game mode with 0 gear, so it sounds sort of pseudo survivalish in a way, but obviously not in the snow in a driving blizzard in NYC. But apparently you start off with very little gear, and then you start to accumulate gear as you make it into this game mode. So those are the big breaking news. It's going to add on co-op. It's going to be available for the first season of Year 5. Whenever that launches, it will be available for testing in the PTS. All right, final 2 little bits of information. They touched very briefly on ETF. People have been apparently asking about ETF. They said it's on track, and it's possibly, it was very cheeky the way they said that, it's possibly happening right now. So that's all you got on ETF. And then as far as the future plans, they're starting to update the known issues board. By the way, if you want to see any of that, I'm going to include a link to it in the video description. They talk about, again, the XP conflict revamp. They're also planning for future plans, complete XP overhauls, which will be beginning with Year 5. They're trying to even out, I guess, how much XP you pick up from certain events, so you're just not off farming very specific ones. Again, XP conflict revamp, complete XP overhaul beginning of Year 5. Those are, I guess, going to be hitting the future plans for the known issues board, but they're not ready yet. Okay, so we had some breaking news. We had a lot of little nuggets in there. If you've got any questions, leave them for me down in the comment section below. I will do my best to respond. I know I'm kind of rattling through this very quickly. In case you like what you see, remember to smash that big, beautiful subscribe button, rate the video, and if you could leave a comment, share the video, it would be greatly appreciated. While you're at it, remember to ring the bell to receive my latest upload alerts. You can also find me over on Twitch, Twitter, and of course in my open community Discord server, links to all of which can be found in the video description and pinned comments below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.
System of failure.